G'day everyone, Jason Nunn, Fisherman's Warehouse Marine, Sweet Street at Warners Bay, your Newcastle Honda marine dealer. And of course guys, the Honda dollars are back for BF30s to BF 80 horsepower. So some really good deals there running into Christmas, a bit of a Christmas special, and then just getting into January. And obviously the bigger engines, the 115s up to 350s, we've got some rigging deal packages as well. So if you need an upgrade, a bit of a repower, or your motor doesn't work over Christmas, give us a tingle and we'll be able to help you out. And look at this today, Thursday, cracking. Have a look at the lake. Just mirror it out and it's getting toasty hot. And that's exactly what's going to happen over the next few days with a top temp of around about 38 or better up the valley, probably 40 by Saturday, with then a change, a bit of a southerly change, a few thunderstorms with a bit of luck, bit of showers will be nice on Sunday. Then it drops back Monday, Tuesday, back to the sort of like northeast. And then on the Wednesday, it swings around for another southerly. So it's all up and down, but we've got some incredible temperatures happening. And today, I think it's around about 20, maybe 25 northeast later this afternoon. So up and down with the weather, but damn hot. I'm going to get into the tides first up because some tremendous tides running in this full moon. Full moon tonight, high tide on Saturday morning, just before 10 a.m, 2.13 metres. An absolute monster tide, and even the next few days, they're up as high as 2.1. The low tide at 4:40 on Saturday is 0.2. So just be aware of that. That is almost a 2 metre tidal exchange on that run out tide in the afternoon. And as you and I both know, if you're going to be on that Swansea bar, or any bar for that matter, up and down the mid-north coast area, that's a lot of water pushing out. So if the nor'easter gets up, just be aware that the bar crossings could be a little bit dodgy. So you're just going to have to take caution in that. No problem in the morning with those big tides, but late in the afternoon, because it's a huge exchange. And that exchange of water will really benefit the estuary. Now, I'm going to start out wide. I've just had a look at the sea surface charts out there. Water temp's funny. Last weekend it was up as high as 23. That water's pushed a little bit further south. It's around about 21.5, maybe 22, but there's some incredible water just up off Foster running all the way back to Southwest Rocks. It's almost 26 degrees. Off Seals at the moment, it's around about 24.8. You just go a little bit further up and then all of a sudden it's 25.8. This water isn't far away at all. When you look at the temperature that's coming down, I think within the next, well, I reckon before Christmas, I would think, some of this 25-degree water is going to come down. We may even be in for a very early black marlin bite, but with this hot temperature, think about the pelagic activity, possibly wahoo, and obviously what everyone's been waiting for, dolphin fish and the like, are going to come down. There's a few striped marlin on the edge. Guys are working hard for them, I've got to say. They're not just dozens of them, but they're still getting caught out there. There's not tons of bait, but I think with this next surge of water, it just, anything can physically happen. When we did the report last Thursday, big aluminium boat come roaring past us. That was Josh and Craig Walkham. They had a cracking fish on board. Congratulations to those boys. 544 kilo tiger shark. There's absolutely huge fish. So that's the sort of sharks that are still out there. And there is still that whale activity going down the coast still. I reckon once that warm water comes in, there won't be too many of those guys. They'll have already basically gone out. But well worth the effort if you can get out. But you're going to need to have a look at what's going on weather-wise, but it's going to be particularly hot. Farm area down toward the Texas. You're still going to have to work for it, guys, but there are snapper out there and some trag in that deeper water. Definitely a few kings around, but it's not too bad, and there's not a lot of current, so I think it's worth a go. Again, looking on what the wind direction is going to do. The inshore fishery, trag on the inshore, still quite enough reds around, and interestingly enough, there is going to be a survey, guys, from DPI on certain species like mowies and nanny guy and that, so it's probably worth a little bit of input. Certainly they're talking about those particular species in decline, so it'll be interesting to see where that comes from. But it's enough to make it and get motivated enough to do a little bit of that inshore fishing this weekend in all that heat. I would suggest get out early and get home before you bake. On the beaches, there's still plenty of salmon on that Belmont Redhead area. A lot of fish around, obviously some few sharks around, I understand that, but a lot of salmon still there. You would have thought by now, we're into December, that they would have moved on, but they're still there. They may be late coming back, but there's still enough there for a bit of a play. There's some nice whiting now starting to get on the beaches with that water temp just a tad over 21, and some really nice brim. With that full moon tonight, I think, got an opportunity on those mulloway, but I reckon 4 nights after the full moon is probably the preferred, and I think you've still got a little bit more time, probably Monday or Tuesday, to get down there and tackle a few mulloway. Haven't heard a lot of fishing on the rocks. I just think this time of year everyone wanes off, but it's definitely worthwhile going down, have a bit of crack, see if there's any snapper. It's all about the estuary. This is where it's all at. There's still heaps of crab pots out there at the moment, so there's a lot of blue swimmer crabs. I have heard of a few guys even catching a few muddies in the lake, which exactly they do, and certainly those enclosed traps allow you to do that. If you've got witches hats, they just get eaten apart. But some really nice flathead on flats. There's still a few in the deeper water, but I still think that shallow water on the back of that really big tide gives you the opportunity to get into some of that shallower water because of how much water will be in there, particularly around that Swansea Flats area. Really fishes well on those very, very big tides. You probably just can't quite hear it here now. Cicadas in the distance, and of course after we did that report a few weeks ago, we got some nice reports on it, and then cicadas started. There's not millions of them around, I must say, but it's getting more vocal. Tomorrow I have a good opportunity to go up to the mile with Scotty Baxter again, which I'm looking forward to, and because there's a bit of that surface activity happening out there and a few more cicadas, I'll let you know next week how we actually go, but I'm certainly looking forward to getting out there. But the lake itself fishing well. Now I spoke to Hilly, haven't had a report from Hilly for a little while because just that weather hasn't been great. Exactly as we spoke last week, guys, still plenty of small brim, and I do say small brim in the system, but of an evening, they're better fish, and some of those fish up to 45. So if you're a brim fisherman, the evening is the pick, and I think as we go into Christmas and beyond into January, that evening fishing will be the best way to go because there'll just be so much activity with PWCs and boats and everyone having a great time, but just a lot of noise. So I reckon that the fish of an evening, that's the best way to go. Some cracking whiting on the flats, New Age, yes, they're the guys for the chew worms. I still get guys ringing me where to get them, so that's the only place. But there's some really good whiting on the flats, and again, that's also a few on the wall and back around on the beaches, and I reckon the tubes themselves are very, very effective on the beach, not only in the estuary. Haven't heard of many kings, and the guys have been asking me about squid. Well, full moon tonight. This time when we talk next week, that'll be 7 nights after the full moon. We're going to move into that next prawn run out of Lake Macquarie, so you will start to see a build-up of squid over this next week period. So that's something to anticipate. There's still enough squid out there, I've got to say, but I reckon that next resurgence after that prawn run will really G it into gear. Guys, I think we're spoilt for choice this weekend. It's going to be damn hot. That's the only thing you're going to have to think about on Saturday. Great big monster tide, probably worth having a bit of a swim. All in all, good luck. I'll speak to you next week, and hopefully we catch a few bass, you and I. Scotty, let's get out there. See you, Josh. We'll go.